That's the end of your test, and I'm pleased to tell you you've passed. Brilliant, great result. So, what happens next? We're going to go through that in today's video. Actually, before the examiner does give you a result, they will ask you, would you like your instructor to listen in? So if your instructor is nearby, it is best to say yes. Just so there's any faults you picked up, even if you passed, your instructor can help you work on those faults and help you understand any of the driver faults you got. And if you weren't successful, they can help you understand what the serious faults were. So let's assume you have passed. The next thing the examiner's going to do, they're going to ask you to see your driving licence again. They want to see your driving licence so they can fill out your pass certificate. And the pass certificate will look very similar to this. This is my pass certificate. It may have changed slightly since then. For example, it's no longer DSA, it's DVSA. But the pass certificate is practically identical to what it's been like for quite a few years. While filling out your pass certificate, they may ask you, is the address on your licence still correct? If it's not, then you will need to apply for the driving licence directly yourself. If it is correct, then the examiner will ask you, would you like me to take the licence off you and apply for your driving licence on your behalf? Which is normally the best thing to do as it's much quicker. And that's what most people tend to go with. So if they say that, it's generally best to say yes. They will then take your provisional licence off you and exchange it for a pass certificate. It will take up to 3 weeks or 21 days for you to receive your licence, your new full driving licence in the post. If you didn't give your provisional licence to the examiner to apply for the full licence on your behalf, then you must go to the post office to apply for your driving licence. And this must be done within 2 years of passing your driving test. If you don't do it within 2 years, unfortunately, you will need to redo your driving test. Before going to the post office, make sure you bring with you your pass certificate, and you must make sure you've signed the declaration at the bottom, which basically confirms there's been no changes to your medical health since you applied for your provisional licence. You also need to bring with you your provisional licence and proof of ID. So I suggest you bring your passport and proof of your new address. And finally, you need to bring a passport style photo. With all that documentation to hand, off to the post office you go. The post office clerk will then ask you to fill out a D1 form, which is an application for a full driving licence. On that form, you can note any changes, for example, changes of address and changes of name, as long as you've got the relevant documentation to prove those changes. Once you've filled out that D1 form, hand back all the documentation to the post office clerk. They can then take certified copies of your documentation, such as your pass certificate and your ID, but they will keep hold of your passport style photo and your provisional licence, as they will need to send that off with the certified copies and the D1 form to the DVLA. Hi guys, I thought I'd just show you this book to add to your collection. The New Driver's Handbook. It's a 3-in-1 book, and it's got some pretty good reviews from a driving examiner and a driving instructor. It has over 800 practice theory test questions, common driving test faults, driving test general tips, and advice on dealing with nerves on the big day. Finally, it has tips for after you've passed your test, including vehicle maintenance and driving abroad. You can find a link to this book in the description below. Now, back to the video. Let's now rewind back to your test day. Once you've passed your test, you're a full licence holder from that exact moment. So you're allowed to go out unsupervised the moment after you pass your test. If you do go out though, make sure you bring with you this pass certificate, as this is almost a temporary full driving licence. So if you get stopped by the police, on their system it may have you down as a provisional licence holder. But if you have this with you, you can prove to them that you've only just passed. That's what's not been updated on the system yet. You can also just bring a copy of this if you prefer. That should be acceptable. Now also, because you're now a full licence holder, it's really, really important you change your insurance before you drive your car. So if you've taken the driving test in your own car and you're going to be driving back home, do not drive back home until you've updated your insurance company. If you drive back home and you haven't updated your insurance company, you're driving with invalid insurance. Your insurance says you're a provisional licence holder, but you're actually now a full licence holder. So if you then got stopped by the police, you could be liable for 6 penalty points. And what's more shocking, if you get 6 penalty points in the first 2 years of passing your test, you will automatically lose your licence. So you could potentially lose your driving licence the same day you got it. If you went out driving after you passed your test and you hadn't updated your insurance company that you had passed. So I can't stress enough, really make sure you inform your insurance company you've passed before you get back in the driver's seat. Now, if you've taken your driving test in your instructor's car, some instructors will claim you're not allowed to drive back as you're no longer insured. Now, so that's true if you're driving your own car, but in my experience with your instructor's car and instructor's insurance, it covers everyone, provisional licence holders and full licence holders. So it doesn't really make a difference with the insurance. But it's not going to be the best idea to drive back after your test, as if you have passed, you're likely to be very excited and your mindset won't be in the right place. You might be overly confident, and then that could cause a problem on the way back home. Equally, if you haven't passed, you're likely to be very, very depressed and upset, and again, that might affect your driving on the way back home. You might not be concentrating. So generally the best tip is, once you've passed your test, just get your supervising driver or your instructor to drive you back home. You can just sit in the passenger seat and just relax. So there we have it. Some of the key points of what happens after you've passed your driving test. I hope this video helped. Please do feel free to like it and leave a comment below if you have any questions. Bye for now.